A lot of people here will know me as head prefect, or maybe you saw me in the school plays, but an integral part of my life has always been soccer. And in today's address, I would like to acknowledge the achievement of the Matildas. For those who don't know, I played semi-professional football for the Central Coast Mariners for 7 years, alongside other students including Coco Finesse. For 7 years, I've trained up to 5 times a week, mornings, nights, rain, hail or shine, and my Sundays have been religiously booked for games located mainly in Sydney, but as far as Nowra. I've represented Australia in futsal touring the UK and New South Wales 3 times at Nationals. I've represented the under-17s New South Wales football at the age of 14 in Fiji as a starting keeper. When I used to live overseas, I represented Singapore at the Gothia Youth World Cup and many other representative teams that I'll spare you the details of. The point is, I have a lot to thank the Matildas for. I've always been a vocal advocate for women's equality in sport, to the point where our Irish exchange student Dan controversially said, "Men's football is better than women's," in a thick Irish accent. My brothers went pale, shaking their heads, warning him that I was just in an earshot of their conversation, petrified of getting into another debate with me about women's sport. But the progress of the 2023 Matildas has amplified the muted voices of thousands of other female athletes to call for a change and a new approach to women's sport. Because I grew up in a world where playing women's sport did not match the achievement of our male equivalent league. Soccer was a hobby, not a career. Brothers were soccer players and sisters were girls who played soccer. I grew up playing matches on the back pitch where I could roll my ankle at any given point. I trained in goals without nets, I played games without referees, and our stands were filled with proud parents. I grew up in a world where I had to train at 5:30 a.m. to use the facilities so the boys could use them at 8. I grew up in a world where if I was a man, I'd be earning $400 a week. I grew up in a world where soccer was complementary to my life, not a dictator. I grew up in a world where the lack of privileges were justified as women's soccer didn't gain the attention of Australia. But the Matildas changed all of that. The Matildas versus England game caught the attention of 11.15 million Australians. 13 times the amount of Matildas jerseys were sold over the Socceroos, and 9 out of 10 households tuned into the France penalty shootout, which decreased all of our lifespans by about 10 years. The Matildas showed the world what it truly meant to play like a girl. Playing brilliant football, the Matildas finished 4th in the World Cup. They also brought us the new Minister of Defence, Mackenzie Arnold, that made being a goalkeeper cool again, and showed the world once more the brilliance of Sam Kerr. But this is merely the tip of the iceberg of the positive change that the Matildas have created. They changed Australia overnight. My sporting world of the Mariners operated behind a curtain. We lived under the motto, "Success and hard work happens when no one is watching." So a group of strong women and our coaches who had unwavering belief in us got up at 5:30 a.m. when no one was watching. We pushed ourselves to the limits when no one was watching. We lifted weights twice the size of ourselves when no one was watching, because no one ever really cared to look. However, the Matildas put our world suddenly into a spotlight. I'm the only female footballer a lot of people know, and I don't think I went a single day in the World Cup without someone discussing it with me, and it felt wonderful. All this hard work in the shadows paid off, and the world was ready to see the women's football that laid beneath their noses. 12 months ago, my Mariners side had a head coach, a goalie session once a month, and 1 session a week in the gym that we had to pay for. 2 months ago, the first grade team now had a head coach, a goalkeeping coach, and a conditioning coach. I had training yesterday morning, and we had 2 head coaches, a permanent goalkeeper coach, 2 conditioning coaches, a groundsman, a water and ball manager, a social media director, an intern, and the new A-League women's coach at Carryong, 5:30 a.m, ready to train. The Matildas entertained, inspired, and let Australia dream. The growth we receive on a micro scale at the Mariners is replicated throughout all of Australia in grassroots female football. The Matildas created this new level of visibility for women's sport, which I previously described as the blind dream. When I was younger, I had no idea what a professional female soccer player looked like. My only role model was my coach, Gabby. She also played first grade, but she also worked a day job, and she had to balance her children, which quickly put soccer in a way to stay fit for women all across Australia. But hearing girls and boys of the younger generation using players as household names, I want to be like Ellie Carpenter, I want to be like Hayley Razzo, fills my heart with so much joy. Girls can see their dreams as clearly as little boys when they watch Messi or Ronaldo. The Matildas have been a catalyst for female change throughout all levels of society, instigating effective change through policies and mindsets, such as the government's new investment of $200 million into grassroots football. But this is just the beginning. Last year, I fell out of love with soccer and goalkeeping. I struggled with the mental, physical, and emotional strain of playing at an elite level of sport without being treated as an elite athlete. This affected my performance, my mindset, and my life. Soccer formed passion, discipline, and sportsmanship within my identity. So if I didn't love soccer anymore, who was I? This is an experience of many, many girls. The Sports Commission Australia found that 57% of girls stopped playing sport by the age of 14 to 16. And I never thought I'd be one of those girls. I performed at the highest level I can, yet I still fell out of love with goalkeeping and the game. And I blame the blind dream. I was conditioned to accept the narrative that whatever level, salary, or resources I was given was inferior to my brother. But watching the Matildas made me fall back in love with the sport. As they proved our worth on a world stage, my attitude at training shifted as my goals realigned. The Matildas reminded me what I've been working for since I put on my first pair of boots. They gave justice to every little girl who played in the boys' teams in the under-8s, who endured through the sport in their teenage years, and who strove for a dream that we couldn't see. The Matildas have taken massive steps for women, but also the LGBTQ and Indigenous communities. Australia fell in love with a team that embodied diversity, regardless of who you love, your gender, or where you come from. Adapting the team means adapting the values. Practicing inclusivity, acceptance, and support within our society will always create a better Australia. But as a female athlete, I've seen women try harder than any man and fail, including myself, Coco Finesse, and even the captain of our club, Caitlin. But the pride we felt watching the best of us on a world stage capture the hearts, eyes, and attention of Australia is something unfathomable, and our words will ever fail to express our gratitude. The Matildas allowed us to never again accept the excuse that Australians just don't like women's soccer as a reason to restrict me from experiences. This is only the beginning. It's the beginning of a long road to equality, but the Matildas just took major strides for women in Australia. Thank you.